The writing is literally on the wall, if you know how to look. Okay, let's look at the word sheep. Instantly, everyone says, okay, we know what a sheep is. No big deal. Now, keep in mind, every word is not just a word. One word is a sentence, a paragraph, and even an intricately written book of absolute truth that has been encapsulated and hidden and needs to be dug into, okay? If you're cotton on here. Yeah, that's a joke. Catching on, okay? So, what does a sheep have on it? Well, it has wool. Keep in mind the W's and the M's are absolutely a mirror image that they use to trick people, and it has worked for thousands and thousands of years. So the W is also an M. Okay? It's also other things, but we'll just stay to this standard right now. So you have wool on a sheep. Well, what do you do with wool? Well, you put it on a loom. Okay? Flip the letter. Okay, so you have LOOM. It goes on a loom. The wool goes on a loom. That's just backwards now, okay? This is how they do it. This is how they have gotten away with this. So now you have wool on a loom. Catchphrases are important. This is how they catch men and women. Have you ever had someone tell you a yarn? Maybe you haven't heard of that. It's a very long, exaggerated, and seems like it has no end to the explanation or story of something that someone's telling you. Well, that's what happens when you put wool on a loom to make a yarn. You have a very exaggerated, long, lengthy process that no matter what you do, as long as it was still just yarn. Okay? So it's an exaggerated process. When just a couple words of their story would have told you already that it's yarn or wool. You don't need to hear the 2-hour deal about it because it's already established that it is what it is. It's wool and yarn. That's why if somebody tells you a yarn, you're in for a long story. And of course, who is coming after the wool on the sheep? Someone wants the wool on the sheep. Well, of course, a wolf. Okay? This is how it's done. I'm not just being clever here. The proper spelling of that pronunciation would be WOOLF. I take and replace and hide letters here and there so that no one will catch on to what's right in front of us. Of course, a wolf would want the wool from the sheep, okay? Why? Catchphrase again. A wolf in what? Sheep's clothing. Well, what does it have for its clothing? The wool. This is why you got to be careful with the image that they have pushed of how Jesus Christ really looks. Soft, fluffy, very manicured, holding a sheep. Watch out. Okay? The writing's on the wall there too, okay? You do not have a shepherd. Excuse me. Out in the rocky, rough, thorny terrain. Lots of thorns out there. Where he was at particularly. He would have been covered in calluses, scrapes, cuts, bruises, and dirty. Not in a bad way. I'm just saying he was not fluffy. There's those interruptions again. The image that they have pushed for thousands of years is the image of the Antichrist. Jesus Christ is not some fluffy, sheep-ish man. Okay? That's part of the yarn from the wool. That in this case, the wolf needs for this very long story that it's telling. The exaggerated length of it. Now, literally, if you take one word, like sheep, everyone will instantly say, yep, I know everything about a sheep. No, we don't. But when you do this, you will see that the word sheep will absolutely encapsulate bare minimum of a sentence. And in this case, this word, paragraph after paragraph, and you end up with a intricately written truth of the exposure of many falsehoods and truths, okay? You cannot have or expose falsehoods without truth. So when you look at a word, I often say, you could take one word and look at it for a long time, many days, and learn a lot. I'm not kidding. Now, that's also a joke for anyone that's paying attention. I'm not kidding because I'm not a baby goat. Kids are baby goats, okay? If you're cotton on to things here, right? Yes, cotton on, another joke. Those are jokes, but they're not, okay? You have to really have ears to hear, eyes to see. And, look at the sheep's feet. They're very tender, actually. Very tender. Always getting poked, thorns. I mean, basically soft feet. More soft than you could ever imagine. And, look into everything about them. It will all tie back into the scriptures. What do the sheep eat? Legumes or legumes, however you want to spell it. Forbs, Forbs. Basically all the broad-leafed, flowery things. If we are the sheep, what are we supposed to be eating? He already told us, I gave you the grasses and the herbs for your meat, right? I'm not saying to be a complete vegetarian, but it's very clear what's being said here. When you look into this word, you will find out things that encapsulate so many things that you will be astonished, okay? And of course those legumes, I'm really not sure how to pronounce that, are high in protein, okay? And the broadleaf plants and the herbs and the grasses. The grasses, the reason why cats and dogs eat it are not just so that they can regurgitate something. It's because it's completely full of folic acid, which if you don't have in your bodies, none of the other minerals or vitamins are absorbed properly into your body. That's why they eat it. Now, I'm not saying go out and grab a whole hand filled up with grass right now. But yes, that is for us. Moderation is the key. And the sheep are blind, right? We all know the sheep are blind. Why are they blind? Look into that. Well, their wool continually grows around their eyes and they can't see. Someone has to come along, their shepherd, the one taking care of that flock, and trim that hair just like you would prune a plant or a tree so that it will produce good fruit. Now with its hair grown all over its eyes, is it going to produce good fruit? No, it's going to walk out there, fall over some rocks, break its leg, get scuffed up, bruised, walk right into the wolf. WOOLF, because that wolf wants the wool for wolves and sheep's clothing.